All right, Flat Earth Weather Wars, hashtag it. We have modified weather. We've had it for many years. Understanding that we have an enclosed cosmology with a firmament above the Earth is powerful information to be aware of. It makes this a lot more, well, I understand it a lot better, basically, how this actually works out, as best I can tell. I'm going to swing this around, show you right now I'm facing directly north towards the center of the flat Earth, and then I'm going to pan over, of course, then directly east. Okay, we've got a storm approaching, Hurricane Florence. We're actually in the bullseye according to some of the projections here. And what I'm noticing is the weather system obviously moving on shore. A lot of evaporation happening over the ocean and coming this way. The circulation of the sun and the moon above the face of the flat Earth actually makes a lot more sense understanding weather systems now more than I used to. I've known that we've had weather modification for years. I just didn't know about the firmament and that it was that we were living on a plane. Could be an infinite plane. When you think about it, when you get to the edge of where the firmament is, what's on the other side? Well, apparently a lot of water. We're in a bit of like a terrarium, a glass enclosed, flat, stationary Earth. That's biblical, that's reality. Whether you like it or agree with it or not. You know, I'm beyond the point of, I won't say I'm not trying to convince people, it's just that I don't get into a debate back and forth in a chat thread or anything like that. I'll make a video, people can view it, like it, hate it, scroll on by, whatever they want to do with that. It's up to them, basically. It looks like my wife is going to scroll on by in our marriage. She's going to leave me, and oh well, for years she was my handler. She was my wife, of course. However, she was part of the dynamic of the system controlling the man. It's not the natural order. It's not the biblical model of marriage where the wife has to babysit the husband. I don't need anybody to babysit me right now. In fact, I resent it. So I'm looking forward to having the freedom to do all that Jesus wants me to. I'm doing that right now. It'll just take on a little bit different dimension. I'm not asking her to leave. She just can't take it anymore. I said, you know, she'll tell me I'm deceived by Satan. I said, well, go ahead and show me in Scripture where you can get a globe out of the Word of God. It's not there. Look at how flat the water is. This is perfect. The tide's coming in. High tide today is at 9:10. Well, you know what? Here's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it high tide at 9:11. I'm telling on them. I'm telling on the shadow government deep state of the world, saying, you know what? Y'all are lying. You're controlling humanity, controlling the weather and all that, and reducing the population and enslaving humanity with a false reality. I'll call high tide at 9:11. Close enough for me. There will be a lot of celebrations tomorrow commemorating how we won't forget. They won't let us forget. They don't want us to forget. It's kind of like a reminder. It's multifaceted. The bravado with which the deep state operates and manipulates humanity was very disturbing to me. And not as much anymore, because I truly embrace the reality that greater is he that's in me than he that's in this world. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That makes me a very dangerous man in the battle to expose the reality, to expose the truth that we're living in. Good morning. So with that in mind, I just simply want to help show you what I know that the Probably a lot of the networks will be around showing this area later on when the storm is blowing around. This is a bit of the calm before the storm right here. It's actually very beautiful. I opened up all the windows in the house this morning for a few minutes to let a lot of fresh oxygenated air in the house. We live about 7 miles that direction, northwest from here. Part of the dynamic, the clues are all around. When I make a post that says flat earth proof, I'm not kidding. Good morning. The proof that I'm showing is basically the flat water, the zero curvature on the horizon. When I get my lighting a little bit better, I'll show you. One of the examples here, a commenter yesterday pointed out we don't need a 200-foot ice wall to keep the ocean in. Look at the beach right here. Right now the sea level right at this point is it's actually a little higher than the road that's over there, just so you know. I'm about 30 feet above sea level right now, above the ocean. Where I live is about 24 feet above sea level. When I'm sleeping in bed, rare as it may be, that water, if we had a big wave come in here and it had a pathway to get to where I am, well, that's what would happen. But see, just like here, the water is higher than the road right over there, or real close to it. We're going to have, last night we had a high tide of 6. Good morning. Hey, good to see you, Luke.
How you doing?
Good. I got your bike on pulling all the surfboards. That was awesome.
I watched your thing last night, yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, you know what? I've got a live broadcast going on now on Facebook. I'm going to turn it into YouTube. Are you going to be out surfing this morning?
Yeah, probably.
Excellent. I got a rare photo of Donnie. Let him know.
I'll let him know. Okay.
Yeah, because last night I told him, I said, hey, I got a shot of you. I posted it. He said, yeah, good, because at the office they didn't think he could surf. It's like, yeah,
good.
Donnie surfs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good to see you, Luke.
Good to see you too, bud.
Thanks, man. Hey, what year is that bicycle with the banana seat? Like a 70s?
Probably.
I had one. Mine was a 5-speed, had the shifter on it.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good one, man. So that's Luke right there. He has the bicycle with the trailer on it with all the surfboards, custom surf trailer. He'll be out today. Looks like we've got some interesting boats out there, ships out on the horizon. I don't know what they are exactly. I'm going to zoom in on what I know. We've got the beach renourishment that's going to be going on. When they look like they're coming this way, I'll zoom in on them and show you. I just wanted to keep on with what I'm wanting to illustrate here. So what continues to happen, now I didn't understand this, how it actually worked. I remember being told ham radio travels around the globe. Well, it doesn't travel around any globe except in the mind of the deceived and the deceivers. By irony and paradox, they don't know it. They're just going along with the official story. They don't have to put everybody in brick and mortar and steel to enslave them. They enslave them with their mind, their false reality of what's actually going on. So right here, I've got the classic water bottle to illustrate the reality that this is just what water does all over the face of the earth. It seeks its level. Does water curve? Well, yeah, it curves. Look at this is all curved water here, all around the bottom. And then if I just leave that still, it'll become perfectly still and level. Let's show you on the horizon what it looks like right there. It'll just do that. And one of the reasons why I illustrate it in a very, I believe, simple form, yet real, is so that as you're using drinking water, you can realize that that proof is all around you, the impossibility of the globe. There's the fragrance of burning wood right now. I've got a friend out in California telling me about wildfires that are looking more and more like continued wildfires that are apparently directed energy weapon generated. They don't need somebody with a flare gun to shoot flares up in the canyons. There's directed energy weapons that can focus on that. What kind of evidence would there be? Well, okay, I'll give you an example of an unusual fire, and you can see it on my profile. I'm going to explain it to you. Guard railings to stop cars from going off the edge of the road, and the 6x6 posts are completely incinerated. The metal is all bent, and then there's grass on both sides of the road that hasn't been burned. That's not normal. That's a directed energy weapon heating up metal. It's just what it is. A lot of cell towers have been blowing up in that too. You can look at it. I'm going to spin this around and just show some of what we're looking at here as it relates to, now we're directly south once again, and what we're looking at is the silhouettes of the rays of the sun going over the tops of the clouds there. I'm going to pull out the numbers for you to see. I just need to grab my device here. So the iPod Touch is very effective. I can use it to go live when I'm near a Wi-Fi hotspot. And does the Earth look like that? Is that my map? Well, it doesn't need to be. However, it's apparently got some accuracy to it. What about the size of Australia? Well, I don't know. It's not upside down anyway. So I'm not going to argue about the map. I'm simply going to say we definitely don't live on a globe, whether you like it or not. This is Cherry Grove inside. Tide's near me. As I mentioned, I altered the 910 to 911 just because I can. We'll see. It's close enough. It's almost like obvious they avoided that. Last year, I remember seeing 9/11. That's part of the dynamic that you're dealing with me, or that I'm dealing with. I remember vividly the time was 9/11. It was obvious because we were programmed to recognize 9/11 as a big deal. So because of the slight offshore breeze, what we've got here is it's flattening the water out a bit. And now when we have the hurricane out there that's blowing this direction or circulating, it's going to create a bulge of water, which we call storm surge. You can take your coffee cup and blow across the top of it and blow coffee out the other side. Well, that's a small version that you can do. However, when you're dealing with however large the ocean is and however fast the winds are, that creates a lot of water built up. So Hurricane Matthew, I believe the accounts were over a 12-foot storm surge, 12 feet higher than high tide. That's a lot of water. That not only went over the top of the beach, it went on into the road. It's one of the reasons why they've got the houses on stilts. Good morning. They've got the houses on the stilts because of the storms that come in and the flooding that they cause. So we've got a group here that's really cameraed up. Don't know who they are. No identifiers. Let's see. I want to show you something. So when I'm out here, like I show on my videos, I'll have this. I'll have my Eternal Perspective shirt, and people can go ahead and view it or scroll on by. Part of the dynamic with this and the bravado that I bring to the table is I realize there are going to be a lot of people that like and hate what I'm doing. So I'm not going to regulate my behavior and activity based on the dissenters or the haters. I'll just go ahead and do what Jesus created me to do, and everybody can do what they choose to with that. I'm not trying to make people mad necessarily. I would like to upset the richest 1% of the world because I'm telling on them. Do they have any clue what I'm doing here? Well, the artificial intelligence absolutely does. I don't know if it's gone on the radar of anybody that would say, hey, there's somebody pointing out once again that 9/11 is an inside job. And by the way, millions of people have seen him and he's not going to shut up. Like Bill O'Reilly says, when we go to war, just shut up. I'm not going to shut up, Bill O'Reilly. He's one of the controlled mainstream media. A lot of people think they're getting well informed by watching Fox News. Fair and balanced. Fair and balanced. Why would I want anything else but fair and balanced? Well, maybe, how about the truth? Just give me the truth. What is the truth? What is the truth about the overall situation? 3 people per second no longer have their human experience. We're all eternal beings. This is a temporary human experience. And a whole lot of people are transitioning. And it's my responsibility to leverage social media for sharing God's word to the ends of the earth around the clock. And I get people that apparently think they're doing God some kind of service by telling me that they perceive I'm just focused on a distraction, something that doesn't even matter, like the shape of the earth and all those conspiracies. Well, in warfare, it's important to identify the enemy. And what the enemy, in the case of 9/11 and the worldwide control, brainwashing, mind control system, they're distracting people from who the actual enemy is. They are the enemy. Ultimately, Satan, the fallen one, is the actual enemy, and he indwells his children, or demons do it. We had Lucifer, the fallen one, cast out of heaven along with the third of the angels. How about that? Where'd they end up? They're here. And they're pissed. They're pissed off. They're upset. They're angry. I'm a little fired up. I'm telling on them. I'll point it out. I love the beauty of this out here. It's amazing. Feel free to share this as much. You'll get a lot of the same. If you're familiar with my broadcast, I don't have any big surprises. Nothing nothing that I haven't covered before, or will there be? Could be. Could be. Depends on what goes down out here. Isn't this beautiful? Look at the tapestry of light. So I'm showing it to you in real time as it's happening. To do this, I'm normally up about 3 hours before sunrise. I go to bed shortly after sunset. That's a lot of hours. Sometimes people say, what do you do for a living? Well, I spend about 20 hours a day doing this when I'm awake, and then the other 4 hours I'm listening to God's Word on the audio Bible on my iPod. And not only that, this is what I really want people to embrace. This is a really big deal, that each one of us can leverage instantaneous worldwide communications to tell the truth to everybody that will listen to us. When Brady asked me, Brady from Vice News, that was like a landmark for me. However, I had been working on this routine of not being afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. Thought I was born again until I actually was. There was well over a 30-year delay. But see, this kind of stuff that I'm talking about, I've been talking about it for years. That's one of the reasons why I'll share my memories. When 2 years ago I'm mentioning toilet water not flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. It wasn't a fluke that I mentioned it. It's just a reality of what I talk about. And the simplicity of the physics and properties of the water that we observe. It's just flattening out there. It wouldn't conform to a ball. And then like Joni, my wife will say, well, my God's big enough to make water stick to a ball. Then I said, your God is Satan. Straight away, the God of the globe is Satan. He's the master deceiver. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says to all of humanity, all of creation, including the spiritual entities, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So it's more than Satan behind it all, because nothing happens in this world that God doesn't cause or allow. The God I'm talking about is the one who created this world that we're looking at. So a few years ago, I started recording the audio Bible and merging it with the beauty of the sunrises. I love the, I remember once I was, I would be watching the, like National Geographic thinking, wow, it's so beautiful. They're showing wildlife, they're showing the beauty and majesty of creation, and then they're perpetuating the lie of evolution. It's bigger than that, way bigger than that. Because evolution grows out of the toxic soil of the deception of Copernicanism. I'm going to have to zoom in on that bright spot right in the middle of the view, because that's where the sun's showing up right now. It's showtime. I'm going to leave the mic on, and this will be a recording that's you'll be able to hear on Facebook. Some of what I'm going to say now, I'm speaking to my Facebook audience, and this is the P900 zoomed in view, and I'll just step off to the side a little bit. We've got Hurricane Florence is approaching, and the Myrtle Beach area is, according to projections that I've seen recently, right in the bullseye. Very likely going to get some serious winds and storm surge. Facing directly in now towards the center of the flat stationary Earth, and now I'm facing directly south, away from center. So for all you circumnavigators, you went in a big circle. It's just the way it is. You can go east or west. You can't go over the top of a ball that doesn't exist. They're lying about that. Today I talked to the title of the Facebook live broadcast is hashtag Flat Earth Weather Wars. I've known about weather modification and tectonic activation with electronics. Tesla technology that can send shock waves through the earth and cause earthquakes. I do believe that the more recent earthquakes, Haiti and the Fukushima disaster, there's a serious amount of evidence that those were caused by man or fallen angel technology and fallen angels at the indwelling individuals that want to reduce the population of the world and enslave everybody else, or keep them enslaved. So that's a part of what's going on. Today is September 10th, and I should be getting my P1000 shipped to me today. It should be on my doorstep today, according to them. When I put flat earth proof on my pictures and videos, I'm not kidding. If you can find any curvature on that horizon, then I know you're deceived about that. The water is flat. Undisturbed water is flat and level, and quite frankly, that's that. One of the reasons why I illustrate simple examples like the water in the water bottle is because we typically drink beverages out of containers that will help us to see that. All of our interaction with water indicates the impossibility of the globe, because quite frankly, water doesn't stick to a ball. Does water curve? Well, absolutely. It fills its container. Up above us, we've got a firmament. The flood that Noah prepared for had 3 water sources: the fountains of the deep, the floodgates of heaven and the rain. Enough to cover over the tops of all the mountains, according to the biblical account, which I believe is absolutely truthful and reliable. So to be clear, I believe the Bible is God's Word. The God of the Bible is the one who created the world that we're looking at and live in. And there's a battle going on. And one of the weapons is the truth, and another one of the weapons is deception. So those that practice and love falsehood, deception, they're not going to heaven. They're not going to be there. I'm not talking about somebody that lied is going to be in hell. I'm talking about entities that love to deceive will not be spending an eternity in heaven. So even though I understand the message I have is going to be unpopular to many, especially Satan's children, what I actually take quite a pleasure in is saying deal with it. If you're a fallen angel, the artificial intelligence, or Satan himself, you're going to have to deal with an eternity that you're going to regret. That's one of the punishments of trying to take over God's place. Pride was your error. It was the flaw that God found in you, was pride. However, to be clear, God created Satan knowing that that would happen, and then he put him in the Garden of Eden to create the need for the redemption that he would provide. I'm so glad to be a child of God that I simply want to hand out the invitation to everybody. Okay, so the footprints in the sand right in front of your eyes would be the tracks of the John Deere tractor that ended up getting washed away by the waves. Footprints in the sand, think about it, those wonderful examples of Christ walking with his children during the tough times of life. Just think about it. That water washes away the footprints. The power of the water is amazing. The wind moves the water moves the sand, and more. I'm going to flip this around so you can see what it looks like here on the back side. The water is demonstrably flat. That's why we can see the reflection like that. We don't have a sun 93 million miles away. It wouldn't do what you're looking at right now in the view. We don't have a day and night cycle because of a supposed spinning, wobbling, gyrating oblate spheroid. We have the day and night cycle because of the movement of the sun, moon, and stars over a stationary earth. That is biblical. That is reality. If you're concerned, somebody that believes you're a brother or sister in Christ, and you can come up with the globe out of the Bible, I would say, well, you're deceived about that for sure. Are you actually born again? Yeah, I'm saying it. I'm saying if you can believe that we live on a globe after really studying this, I know you're deceived about that. Are you actually a child of God? Now, I'm not saying you're not a child of God. What I am saying is you would need to be born again to even see the kingdom of heaven. Remember, I'm the guy that continually says, I thought I was born again until I actually was. I did a lot of the stuff that Christians are supposed to do. I repented, cried, baptized, dedicated, rededicated, worked at a full-time Christian ministry called Rawhide Boys Ranch in Wisconsin. God used me to touch a lot of people's lives. However, I wasn't born again yet. So I was still a child of God. Joni says you're deceived about that. I said, no, I'm not. I know that. She said, well, you knew the difference between right and wrong. I said, yeah, I didn't have the power to carry it out. How about that? You know of any people lacking in power, addicted to stuff that they just want to break free from and can't? Well, maybe they don't have the power of the Spirit, the presence of the Spirit. The power of the Spirit is so much more than the flesh. It's not like I got a little turbo boost, like a little extra power. It's like I got so much more power that I can obey where I couldn't. I'm not a slave to my selfish desires, my flesh. I'm a free man sharing a message to set other people free for such a time as this. I met a young lady from Croatia out here last night. Another friend from the Czech Republic. She does the beach services chairs here. Joni wants to move to Wisconsin. I said I've got a worldwide outreach. I've got the digital footprint to prove it, and the likes, comments of people from all over the world. I'm not having a psychotic break. That God is using me powerfully. I've got the evidence of that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to leave this area. She wants to live by our sons in Wisconsin, and I said, well, this is where God has placed me, and this is why I'm staying here. I'm zoomed in on a tugboat and a crane on the horizon. It looks like maybe some of the team is assembling for the work that's going to be done here with the beach renourishment. And see, I've talked to a lot of the beach services people, like that gentleman there. Very friendly. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, wow, there's the sun. Let me zoom in on that. So it's beautiful. It's a tapestry of light all around us. And in the spiritual sense, that's going on too, because keep in mind, Scripture says even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So individuals that we're interacting with may be one of Satan's children, or they may be demonically inhabited. Oh, here's a nice surf ride there. Cool. I don't think I would be surprised if a film crew came out here to put the Canon on me. No, this is special. It's not natural. It's actually supernatural, what I'm doing. And in essence, it's not actually me that's doing this. It's what the God who created this world is doing in and through me. I want to make sure that I mention for the P900 recording that the flood that Noah prepared for covered the tops of all the mountains to over the tops of all the mountains, however tall they were then. Right now we've got Mount Everest, apparently reportedly the tallest point in the world. We don't know that for sure because they're lying about so much. So in the North Pole, could there be a taller place? There could be. I don't need to know that. However, we're living in a bit of like a terrarium. There's the firmament that's above us, which separates the waters from above, a lot of water up there, from the waters below, which is right in front of us, what we're looking at. And when the flood the great flood occurred, God opened up the floodgates of heaven, the fountains of the deep, and caused it to rain. I just want you to consider the massive volume of water, 5.5 miles of water above where I am right now. Not only does water not stick to a ball, obviously that much water wouldn't either. And we don't need a massive ice wall to keep the oceans in. Joni, my wife, will say, there's nothing that could hold that amount of water in. I said, well, just go to the beach, take a look at the beach and see how the water stops right there in front of you. How would that be possible? Well, it's not, it just needs to be a little bit higher than the rest of the, it's just the container is a little higher. It's like the edge of the bowl needs to be a little bit higher than the water inside to contain it. That's all. Doesn't need to be thousands of feet or miles high. Just a little bit higher. Oh, this is classic. I've got a surfer dad right there. I'll zoom in on him with the, I can zoom in right here with this one. Let's see. How cute. Little family there, going to be out surfing. So when we were homeschooling our sons, we were perpetuating the global lie. Aware that it was even something to look into. We didn't know. Now we know. And what I'll do is take all the energy that I have to expose the reality of that. So weather wars on a stationary Earth with a protective dome, the firmament above us, well, that makes a whole lot more sense as far as if you've worked with any, like they call them satellite dishes, but one of the examples that I give is just because we have dishes on a football field for a football game doesn't mean we've got satellites. That's about as ridiculous as just because they stick something on the roof of a house that says it's a satellite dish. It's a dish, yeah, no doubt. They bounce signals off of the firmament, as best I can tell. Just because they put satellite imagery on a view from up elevated view doesn't mean they're satellites. There's high altitude planes, and we've also got what are satellites can be like a suspended photographic capture. It's not necessarily like something orbiting around the Earth, like under the bottom of the Earth. They can't get it there because we're covered by an expanse of firmament. So there are satellites that have what they call them, and then there's like suspended, like with a weather balloon. They're not really a satellite that were shown on the science fiction that's being promoted by the mainstream media, NASA. Oh, let me mention them again. The CIA, FBI, NASA, NASA, deceptive organization giving a false reality. And I want to intervene so those little children that are being exposed to the lie, I can bump into their parents, take pictures of them surfing and say, hey, yeah, you might want to check out my channel. We don't live on a globe. That's a lie. So that's part of what it is. It's a preemptive strike with truth to the parents of the children. And then the children of the parents. Some of the people that I interact with love my broadcasts, and they have parents that watch them. It's a bit of an advertisement for reality, the opposite of the Truman Show. In the Truman Show is used as an example a lot in the truth movement. Truman didn't realize he was on a movie set, Well, the reality is a lot of people are unaware that they're living in a false reality. They don't know. And by irony and paradox, none of us know what we don't know. I don't claim to know it all. I know enough to know that the globe only exists in the mind of the deceived and the deceivers that perpetrate the lie. Even if they're calling themselves a Christian ministry, I'm going to keep hammering on this. Creation Ministries International and Ken Ham, Answers in Genesis, they got it all wrong. If they want to be truthful, they're going to have to let people know they were deceived and they were perpetuating the global deception. Is that going to happen? I don't know. It's not my call. I don't make that call. What's really important to keep in mind is Satan will use who and what he can, and God uses everything, including Satan, the fallen angels, all of that. For the Facebook audience, I'm zoomed in on a group of boats out there. They're heavy equipment, tugboats and boats, cranes and all of that. Look like they're going to be setting up the pipeline. That looks like the pumping station. So I'm going to real quick go over how that works. They've got ships that vacuum sand and water off the bottom of the ocean, rinse it off, and pump it up onto the beach. To the extent it's like 1,500 20-yard dump truck loads in 45 minutes. And they'll do that around the clock for probably a month. And that mix of volume comes through a 30-inch pipe. You can see it on my video, liked videos, and the Eternal Perspective playlist, which has the audio Bible merged with that process. So it's 40% sand, 60% water. It's a huge volume of material that leaves the sand behind, and then the water just goes back out to the ocean. It's just what it does. So even though we'll get hit by a lot of water here, it'll just go right back out to the ocean. So areas inland that don't have the ability to handle the water as effectively will get flash flooding. That's a big deal. Clay soil and little rivers and tributaries that flood. So the massive amount of content that I've got on my liked video playlist covers the World Central Bank, the toxifying of the food, the water, the air, basically the battle that we're in, including the military and medical industrial complexes, along with the mouthpiece of all that promotion is the mainstream media that's all controlled. That being said, we have the opportunity, good morning, we have the opportunity to expose that. Each of us can. And so part of what I'm doing is not only exposing the reality of this, I'm wanting to help like-minded individuals that have a passion for exposing this reality, that we can do it by liking videos that go onto a liked video playlist. We can create our own content if we're so inclined, and we can have a YouTube channel that we promote. I've got the car labeled up so people can go there, contact me if they like. So it's not just the content that I've created that I'm talking about, it's the content that I found and share. So the Facebook is there's approximately 2 billion users of Facebook as far as I understand, and we've got a population of the world of about 7 billion people. And there are those that would like to be friends with me on Facebook. 5,000 is the limit. I can have as many subscribers on YouTube as there are people in the world. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like. I've got some mind-blowing content that I've actually captured with the P900. And also the iPhone. I've got extended broadcasts that'll be just short of 12 hours long with the audio Bible showing the tidal activity and the movement of the sun and the moon. Got one video that's from the Gospel of John to Revelation showing the sun or the moon set and the sun rise. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish on the horizon can't be explained by what we're told how it works. Earlier in the summer the sun came up way over to the left of view, and it's going to be coming up way over on the right in the winter. Lower in the sky is further away from the viewer. It's just got to do with the laws of perspective. If you're new to looking at this, what's interesting is I'm going to go over one of the dynamics that I do for sending out friend requests. If somebody unfriends me, and then I've got like 4,999 friends, I can go to my the news feed and click on add friends. I may click on 100 people. I try not to click on the same one again because then it knows I'm just doing that. But I'll add a lot of people. Or I'll go to the Vice News video of me at the Flat Earth Conference in North Carolina, and I'll click on people that like it, love it, or go wow. Or the Sun in the Clouds video I shot with over 600,000 views. And there's a lot of likes and shares there, so I'll click on those people. So I'm typically below my friend limit for a couple of minutes in a day, and some of those times I can send out a lot of friend requests, and I do. So I'm finishing up the recording with the P900, and I simply wanted to say thank you so much for all your public and private encouragement. I'll be covering Hurricane Florence and more. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Eternal Perspective. There's a lot of content there that should be a powerful catalyst for your consideration to give you a favorable eternal perspective. Remember, we're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. Feel free to call me anytime. Be happy to talk to you. Leave a message if you like. Actually, please do leave a message, or you can use Facebook Messenger. Okay, so I finished up the P900 recording. It's about 27 minutes of some pretty interesting views. And one of the things too, now that I can snap shots, I'll show you a little bit of what I call intuitive shooting. I'll just take this around, and I know where the middle of the shot is pretty much, and I'll just do that. With the landscape grid, it's really helpful to be able to do that. Okay, so there's a sailboat out on the horizon. Let's show you what they look like. Let me get right on that. That's part of the amazing dynamic. Now I'm just going to zoom in with the camera and take a snapshot of it. That isn't quite the way I want it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and put some of the clouds in it. And then I can zoom in if I want, like that. So the technology is a big deal. Even though I could have a bunch of interchangeable lenses, zooming in 83 times is absolutely amazing. The P1000 will zoom in 125 times. Yeah, I don't get paid by Nikon. Wow, that was awesome how he backflipped over that wave. I don't know if you were able to see that, but that was very cool. The surfers are fun to watch. They're all doing flat earth research, whether they realize it or not. So are the fishermen. So are the people walking on the beach, looking out at no curvature at all. However, because of brainwashing, a lot of people believe they see curvature. They believe we live on a globe because that's what we were told. We were told about Santa Claus too, delivering all the presents in an evening. I bought it. And then we found out as we got older that was a lie. Oh, but it was just such a sweet little lie. Let the children embrace a false reality. Isn't that wonderful? We'll even have Santa Claus kneeling at the manger as some of the examples for people that want to Christianize a holiday that's more to do with materialism, and it's not necessarily biblical Christianity at all. So I just want to help expose the reality to people that apparently care. So I'm going to zoom in on the little cluster of ships out there. That's right in the middle of your view. So if I were to zoom in with this camera, 10 times zoom, let's see what we can do with that. And there they are. Ah, that's the little group there. So that's 10 times. So to be clear, I don't know the size of the sun or the distance it is away. I don't actually need to. The water basically exposes the global lie. The water exposes the impossibility of the globe. It doesn't mean I know the exact shape of the puddle that the continents rise out of. I don't actually need to, and I don't need to fly up in a spaceship to take a picture of it. There's plenty of fake imagery already that's out there, and we do have 20-mile high balloon footage. There's no visible curvature from viewable there. If you're seeing a curved ball Earth, you're looking at some kind of fakery, whether you like it or not. You know what? The truth is actually an acquired taste. Some people haven't acquired a taste for the truth. They don't want it. They want to live in a false reality, watch a bunch of mindless television, or maybe they don't have a TV. Maybe they just live in a make-believe world of mystery novels and their own imagination. Footprints in the sand. They'll all get washed away before this is over with today. And then people will put more of them back in there. See, the water just seeks its level. If there was a spinning, wobbling, gyrating going on, that water wouldn't do what you're looking at. So to be clear, when I take a bath and a shower, and so like I'll have real hot water, very little of it in the bathtub, scrub up, and then I'll rinse off with the shower. I can make the whirlpool go down the drain in either direction just by getting it started. Whichever way I want it to go, it'll spin either way. Oh, I've got a friend out there that's she's just started surfing out there. Let's see if I can show you. She's making it through the wave. She just busted through that one. Biney is, I don't know if that's Biney, but that's the name of the young lady I put on the photo album. She just moved here. So I remember Greg Laurie talking about if those evangelists knew what they were doing, they would have grabbed a surfboard. Well, I'll grab a camera. These surfers know who I am. A lot of them see the content that I put out there. I never had to stick a board in the water for that. That's just part of the dynamic with the videography and photography. People are out here taking pictures of the beauty and majesty of creation. A tripod where, you know, a guy handling a tripod with camera equipment and a YouTube shirt, people just go there. They'll check it out, and some will hear some of what I have to say and say, I'm not interested in that. Hey, good morning, Linda. What a beautiful day, huh? And that's part of the freedom with all of this, is understanding that I'm really not responsible for what the people do with the information that I bring them. I just want to faithfully represent reality and then let the people do what they want with that, or what they can. Good morning. So one of the things that I'd like to draw your attention to is it's one of the really big clues, is the light beam shooting across the water. The little shadow in front of the wave, the break in the reflection. How it levels out, flattens out, goes back down. Depending on where I put the lens of the camera, I can get the beautiful reflection of the clouds right there off the wet sand. And I go through and I show some of that. I think it's time to pull this out of the mount. I want to show you some things. See, the water is just racing back to the ocean. It comes up on the beach and races right back down there. It'll do it over and over again, day in, day out. Got thousands of hours of viewing it, recording it. It's gorgeous. It's really therapeutic. We can see the haze right there on the water. Well, it does that because of all the moisture that's getting released into it from the ocean. The temperature differential drives the temperature differentials drive the hydrologic cycle, the water cycle of the world. How much does a gallon of water weigh? It depends. It depends on what the temperature is, because the volume of the water and the density changes based on the temperature. So that's just something you should know. There's a lot of apparently really intelligent people that are unaware of that. This reminds me of some of the stars I've captured or I've seen other people do. Kind of interesting, and that pattern will change. And the water will just level right out. I have a shot put on the photo album like this. See, the lens placement's really important. I can just match that right up. If I wiggle the railing a little bit, we get that. So people walking by will make it move. I don't feel any movement of the earth. I never have. Zoomed in 10 times. However, it doesn't have quite the clear resolution that I get when I'm zoomed all the way out. More flat earth research. And a lot of friendly people, you know. Part of what I do is a wave and a smile. I'm not running around telling people to stop sinning. Sinners sin. Children of God should be portraying the reality of the changed lives. That's what I got going on here, and I'm just so glad to be a child of God that's actually born again now, that I want to hand out that invitation for eternity. It's just what I do. So some of the stereotypical snake oil salesmen you may have seen on TV talking about Jesus and asking for money to buy jets and marketing prayer water or anointing oil. I'm not that guy. I don't even resemble those guys, just so you know. I want to make sure you're paying attention to that. I'm not one of the phonies. I'm a real guy that's still recording there. Wow, how long was that? Wow, that was a lot of recording. I didn't, that'll be an interesting video. Uh-oh, I had a connectivity issue. So the difference with the enclosed cosmology is serious. One of the reasons why I included Flat Earth in the title, Flat Earth Weather Wars, hashtag it, is so that we can fill a reservoir that people can access when they look into this topic. Weather modification, Hurricane Florence. How wonderful. I remember doing that. Bringing our sons out here to the ocean. There we go. That is so cool. I love it here. That'll be going on all year around. Now this time of the year, we'll get a lot more younger families with little children. And the reason is they're out of school. They're not in school. So we get a lot of homeschoolers this time of the year, a lot of Canadians. Good morning. People from all over the world. I know I mentioned it in other broadcasts, the 60 miles of sand, the Grand Strand. here along the coast of Southern Carolina. We were anticipating 20 million guests here this year. So it's a worldwide outreach. People come from around the world, and I have a reach around the world, the flat, stationary world. Good morning. So there will be more surfing going on this week. Probably some pretty big waves coming in. So we've got more than humidity. There's actually quite a bit of spray that we can see blowing off of the waves. And then the sunlight really highlights that. The P900 content really shows that. I did a recording last night out here at sunset. Okay, so now I'm going to show this again. Earlier in the year, the sun was coming up way over here. Came up over here today. Later on in the year, it's going to come up over here. That activity can't be explained by a spinning, wobbling, oblate, gyrating. Got to throw the gyrating oblate spheroid. It's not going to happen. We can see the buildings better when the sunlight hits them. You know what? I liked a page and invited all my friends to like Joshua Nowicki. Photographers are absolutely amazing. I don't know how many of you understand the amount of time it takes for us to put in to capture some of the mind-blowing stuff we do. Joshua Nowicki is one of those people. I believe the Michigan nut is another one that I invited all my friends to like. So I'm gonna make a page like my own, like a page like it's my page, and invite people to like that page. I sent one out yesterday, 101 Flat Earth 101. Yeah, now there may be content on a page that I don't agree with. If you want to know where I am theologically on something, I believe I cover it pretty thorough. I've even had people say, "Cat got your tongue, you're not too vocal," on the chat. Yeah, I'm not into the typing. I would rather be out enjoying this, and I'll make a video talking about it. And if people want to explore my content, great. If people don't want to explore my content, great anyway. People are going to do what they want to do. And by the way, I think I mentioned it before, it's just not right for a woman to tell her husband what he needs to do. If he's walking with God biblically, she's supposed to follow. Yeah, not a popular thing to say. It's just the reality. There's an order that God designed with the family. The man is supposed to worship, honor, and glorify God, and so is the wife. And we're supposed to do that together. And by the way, you can't change the gender. You can't change a person's gender by altering plumbing and padding. It doesn't work that way. So somebody that's changing their plumbing or padding and having same sex, that's homosexuality, just dressed up different. But it's what it is. The calm before the storm, huh, Linda? Isn't it beautiful? Looks like we're on the bullseye for it too, huh? So one of the reasons why I talk about the water too is it's not just this water that indicates, of course, that we don't live on a globe. It's all the water that covers the face of the earth. I actually want to bait people to say, yeah, that's not big enough to show there's no curvature. Well, let's use the x-axis, the horizon from left to right. That'll do. It works for me. See, what happened with, just to be clear, when I came to realize all of this stuff was, when I came to realize the truth about this situation, and I was actually born of God's Spirit, what happened was I'm not compelled to have to convince other people so I feel better about what I believe. It's not about the amount of evidence we supply people. It's about their interest in knowing the truth about it, as best I can tell. I remember when I was this age, that's like that's around a year and a few months old. Hey, good morning. Yeah, he was checking out my water jug there. So all of our interaction with water, the showering, the bathing, the flushing in the toilet, it all illustrates the reality that water does this. And so to be clear, the water is extremely important on the health of the body. Highly purified, carbon filtered, reverse osmosis water in glass, and I like to put it in the sun. Well, that's crazy, right? No. All this water is in the sun and the moonlight, sunlight, moonlight. It's part of the purifying process. It's just how it works. I like to cooperate with a plan and a way that God has things set up. There's Ulrika from the Czech Republic setting up the chairs. And see, according to what's going to happen with the tides, those chairs will get hit by a little water. She knows that, but that's about right where she's got them set. There's a good example of the lighting, the contrast. So one of the things that is really obvious here, this cloud right there is quite a bit different elevation than the other one. We can see that. What I was wanting to point out is that in this system here, what's coming in is different than a lot of other activity we would see throughout the year. It's because there's a massive storm out there. And this is some of the evidence that is going on. So the sun is putting more direct heat on the ocean, which is creating a higher temperature of the water. This is a mom with the little child now, and now the dad is going out. Isn't that cool? They brought one surfboard and then they're taking turns riding it. That's awesome. You ever see that before? Let's see if I can zoom in on him. Do you think he'll be he or she? I don't know. I would think that's probably, I'm not going to guess, boy or girl. I'm not sure. Pretty young for a boy to be walking, but we had him like that. There goes Dad. So that's all Flat Earth research. I can just, any of the research I put out, like on Weather Wars, it's all, or 9/11 Truth, it's all Flat Earth research. The people behind 9/11, the events of 9/11 of 2001, they know we don't live on a globe. They're lying about it. It's to enslave humanity. I believe that's a little girl, but I don't know for sure. So there will be a further reinforcement of the 9/11, the events of 9/11. Do you remember where you were? Yeah, I sure do. And that's part of the reinforcement of that and the bravado with which they parade that in front of us. And I believe it's also meant to just let the people that know that they're lying, that they're not afraid of continuing to lie and continuing to reinforce that deception. They're using a part of the dynamic with weather modification and weather wars. It's not just that the United States is the world bad guy only. It's the deep state that conscripts all the different governments of the world. Just to be clear, at first, when I realized 9/11 was an inside job, I was so embarrassed to be an American of sorts. Some might say, well, we're embarrassed you're an American too. Oh well, deal with it. I'm not excited about the killing of innocent people for corporate greed and enslaving the rest of humanity for that purpose, with the World Central Bank that's the funnel to create the money out of thin air to enslave humanity with. I mean, millions of dollars for rockets and bombs and all the ridiculous expenditures of the brainwashing program of NASA. If it doesn't piss you off that they're taking our tax dollars and reducing the purchasing power of all of our efforts worldwide to give us a false reality, if you think that doesn't matter, I'm sorry to hear that. I couldn't be more sorry to hear that, because it's an indicator that you evidently love deception. There are people that love it and practice it, and those that expose it. Well, I think you know which side I'm on with that. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Excellent, thanks. So that vibration there was just a group of people walking by. When we're in a car, we can feel when we're moving a little bit. On the pier, I can feel people walk on by. Even the water jug there, even without people walking on by, the waves hitting the pilings will make it shake a little bit. However, when I put it on the sand out there on the beach, no movement at all. Perfectly still. You can set a bubble level on a window ledge or wherever you want. Like at our house, that bubble didn't move unless I moved the level, but it would just stay there. Yeah, that's Ulrika from the Czech Republic. They have a student exchange program, and there are foreign exchange students from all over the world that come here to do this, to work in our economy here. That's part of the the dynamic of this area, is it's so diverse with the people who come here. So like I was mentioning with the clouds, it's hard to see it now. If you, wherever you are, just, you might want to pay attention to it. What I'll notice is different elevations of clouds moving different directions. Those are some of the clues that we're obviously not on a globe spinning. All the whirling around would change the way that all works. It's got to do with perspective too. The appearance that the clouds are getting lower, they're just further away. That's all. That's just how it actually works. Reality is for those who can't handle drugs. I'm one of those people that prefers reality. The pharmaceuticals are a catalyst for other drug addiction, both legal and illegal. That was my personal experience. So when I take one picture and I put flat earth proof on it, I'll just pick that up to isolate the vibration, set it back down. So when I take one picture and put flat earth proof on it, you might think, well, where's the proof? It's just a picture. Or is it? It's my whole social media platform that's connected with that. I should say, like my YouTube channel, my Facebook activity. Some people come across my stuff and they'll explore it for a long time. They tell me, and they're glad I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'll keep doing it, not just because they encouraged me to do so. I'll do it because that's what I'm supposed to do. So the water seeking its level, how precision is it? Well, here's how it'll work. Let's make that so it's easy to see. Okay, is it going to come out of the neck soon? Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it'll do. Just like that. So then, just with the simple installation of a cap on it, then I can get it to go level. And yeah, the water curves right there. The the bottle is completely full. Atmosphere, liquid H2O, oxygen and hydrogen, firmament above the earth, water below, flat. It's just what it does. It's the reality that we live in. So, to be clear, when I have a longer broadcast, broadcast long like this, a couple hours long, what happens is you get to see the activity of the people walking on the beach, the tide the tidal activity. Oh yeah, that's a little girl. How adorable, huh? One of the other things that's so amazing to me, now look at the amount of moisture right there. A lot of it coming in. A lot of oxygen. A lot of healthy people like to come out here and are active, and then some people are more sedentary. They'll just put a chair down and sit there. That's definitely not me. And then we've got the surf fishermen. I was struck by lightning a couple miles from here when I was recording surf fishermen like this guy. There were five surf fishermen from Vietnam. We had a thunder lightning storm, and I knew there was a possibility I could get struck by lightning. For gosh sakes, I was holding an aluminum umbrella pole, bare feet on wet sand. I knew the possibility of that. It was a test. It's not that God wanted to see what I would do. He knows everything. He knew what I was going to do. He wanted me to see what I would do. Therein lies the difference, a big difference in looking at the sovereignty of God, realizing He's in charge and He knows what's going on. He knows it all. And yet He also causes it to happen. So in the reality of looking at this, He created Satan knowing that, or Lucifer knowing he was going to fall, and so were a third of the angels to go with him. To end up being in the Garden of Eden, do you think that's where Satan chose to go? Well, he might have wanted to go there. That's where God put him, to create the fall of man, or the need for the redemption that He would provide in the person of Christ, the Messiah, the living Word, the great I Am, the Alpha and Omega. You can read about Him or listen to it. So like last night, once again, as I'm getting all fired up to come out here, I'll be listening to the Bible when I'm sleeping. I have headphones like these that I wear. This one has a little fuzzy thing I got from the Hobby Lobby. I just wrap it around there. It works good. Good morning. So $4 for like 4 feet of fuzzy wire fake fur stuff. It worked really good to protect the mic from the wind. So one of the things that I'm going to pull this out of the holder again. What I want to show you, it's interesting, that young child has just been running around on the beach. That is so adorable. Now Mom is holding on to her, I believe. I believe that's a little girl. Watching Dad surf. Pretty active young parents, huh? Pretty cool. I sure hope they don't get the vaccinations. I was glad somebody was brave enough. Charlene at the Long Beach Medical Center in Long Beach, California, said she was our Lamaze coach. She said, "Whatever you do, don't get the vaccinations. Research that. Look into it." We did. We held off on the vaccinations. Healthy sons. Footprints washing away, right? Footprints in the sand. As water reflects a man's face, God's Word reflects the man. When I finally realized that the reason I was struggling so much was I was in my own strength, that was a shocker to me. How adorable. Look at her go. And that's part of the symphony of life I talk about. Holding dog leashes, holding hands, holding shoes. So like for example, good morning. I believe that I may have talked to her or her husband before, and pretty typically the what I'll do is just show the YouTube Eternal Perspective shirt, and then they see me up here taking pictures and video, and they'll go on buy my content. On my playlists I cover intentional cancer causing, intentional drugging of humanity, and beautiful exotic locations, beautiful music, relaxing music, waves, water, the people enjoying it. I'll capture that content right here, and when I put some of them in it, they'll want to see it. They'll want to see their friends. I've got a photo of a gentleman in a kayak yesterday. It's on my photo. He's missing one of his legs. I don't know if you looked at it and noticed that. I have a video of a gentleman that was a kayaker out on a sandbar a long ways away, about a mile away from where I was. And when I zoomed in on him stretching out there, I just started getting choked up. He was an amputee too. He was on a kayak. I don't think it was the same guy. Could be, not sure. How did he lose his leg? Wow. There we've got some footprints and getting washed away. You know, those amputees can't leave a set of footprints like that. They'll look different. Some people get in a wheelchair, get on drugs, post-traumatic stress disorder they may call it, and they'll take the drugs, and the drugs will take them to a hopeless perspective. And then some of them just kill themselves. The Enemy in Plain Sight is a video. It's in a little group of videos on my Like Video playlist around pharmaceuticals. The militaries of the world enslave humanity in multiple ways, taking our efforts, what we do in commerce, what we do in activity of services, whether it's even mowing lawns or building bombs. It's all they enslave humanity with a false reality, and help people have a patriotic view of this world, that we actually are helping share democracy by bombing other countries' infrastructure. It's a great deception. So when a veteran realizes that they were part of ending innocent lives, and it's a hard thing for them to deal with. I know personally veterans that have committed suicide. I prayed with them before it happened, obviously. And it's tragic. Oh, this is adorable. Good morning. Well, I've got a live broadcast on Facebook right now, and I'll put it on YouTube. And I take a lot of pictures you might enjoy. Eternal Perspective is the YouTube channel. You can see it if you like. Thanks. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the content. Yeah, this is the calm before the storm too, huh?
Yeah, we're out looking for shark bait.
Yeah, well, hopefully you find them. I found them out here too. And if you don't find what you're looking for, Bolanos has them at the gift shop. Lots of them. Have a good one, y'all. Thank you. So that's an excellent illustration for how that works. People come up to me and ask me, and that's more of a catalyst for their consideration. The curiosity is a catalyst for consideration. And then we've got the pride, which is a powerful catalyst for deception. And that's a contrast there too. So there's a sea of deception all around us. Those that are proud are going to have a hard time getting this. It's a pretty painful reality to realize that much of our, much of my life was based on a lie. And I'm glad to be free and helping to share that message of freedom. The cloud right there, we can see reflecting off of the water. It's demonstratively flat from that point to here. And where we get the little change of elevation with the wave, there's a break in the reflection. It's all very repeatable. It's going to just keep on going on, and that's just the way it works. And I wanted to bring up the numbers again. The Tides Near Me app, I believe, is still, I don't think I'm going to be able to bring it up. You'll have to see it earlier in the broadcast if you care to. So I'm going to wrap up the broadcast now and say thank you so much for tuning in, liking, sharing. Just to let you know, I've been censored again by Facebook as best I can tell. They won't let me share to groups the way I used to. They're wanting me to go through some hoops to do that. Let me see. I want to put this where I'll flip it around. I wanted to talk to you about it. So what's happening is I can't just send my videos to a lot of groups now. It's having me identify like which pictures have cars in them. It's sending me through some hoops. It's not saying I can't share, it's just making it a lot more difficult. So like when I would do a broadcast like this, it would take me about 5 minutes or less to send it to my pages and the groups and all of that. And send it to over 100 groups just like that. So if you like this kind of thing and you want to share it, please do. That actually is real helpful. If you like other content producers as well, a nice way of recognizing where the activity is happening is going to click on who's shared it and where they've shared it to. I believe you can see and follow some of those posts if you like to. And one of the reasons why I cross-pollinate is to take the input from this broadcast and link it to the YouTube. And so people can understand there's actually quite a support network that I have for this worldwide communications network. It's not how many subscribers I have necessarily. That's a question sometimes people say, how many How many subs do you have? Well, I'll use other people's subs. That's part of the benefit of that. And God is the one who has given me favor to be able to be heard by millions and millions of people. And that's why this is a little bit different. The artificial intelligence basically tracks, traces, databases, and threat assesses all of our activity. To be clear, I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That's just how I am with all of that. So I'll continue to expose the reality of this. I've got a lot of hard lighting coming in right now. I'm gonna flip it around and see if I can just show you a pretty view and close this out. I never know what they're going to have for the thumbnail options. I'll get like 10 choices for the thumbnail. Oh yeah, I think I want to do it like this. Yes. Anytime. For an eternal perspective. YouTube it.